Out of LeBron's illustrious career, there is one thing you cannot take away from him, and that is how long he sustained such a consistent level of greatness. And because of his ability to do so, his career stats by the end of his career are gonna be nothing short of ridiculous. 2 years ago, I made a video analyzing if LeBron James is still on pace to finish his career as the first player to ever score 40,000 points. And I think it's time to do an update on that video because one, it's been 2 years, but two, within these last 2 years, a lot has happened that could possibly have some major implications on his career stats, or at least when it comes to him trying to reach that 40,000 mark. In 2019, he had one of his least healthiest seasons. The following season, he ended up being healthy, however, the season was shortened to 72 games. And in 2021, not only would the regular season be shortened once again, but he would also have another one of his least healthiest seasons. So given all of those factors, I figured it'd be worth revisiting this topic and seeing if LeBron James is still 2 years later on pace to reach that elusive 40,000 mark. Additionally, to make this video a little bit more interesting, I also want to see if LeBron James can be the all-time leader in field goals made and if he could possibly crack the 16,000 mark by the end of his career. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below if you actually think LeBron James will reach the 40,000 mark. But the first thing we have to do is talk about exactly what type of numbers we're working with before we even make any predictions. So going into the upcoming 2022 season, LeBron James is going into his 19th season, and he's going to end the season as a 37-year-old. Throughout his career so far, he's amassed 35,367 points in 1,310 games and has made a total of 12,903 field goals. Those numbers put him third all-time in both points and field goals made, behind both Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Karl Malone. This means for him to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he needs 3,021 more points, and to reach the 40,000 mark specifically, he needs to score 4,634 more points. So now that we know the numbers we're working with, the next thing we have to do is establish a couple of assumptions. Number one, how many more seasons will LeBron play until he retires? Number two, what will his production be in those years? And number three, how many games will he play in those seasons? Now, LeBron hasn't really outright said that he wants to retire after a certain amount of years. The closest thing I can find was this article where LeBron said he just won't be playing past 46. But honestly, that's kind of obvious and it doesn't really help that much. I ain't gonna lie. There's also this article right here where LeBron says that he wants to retire in 4, 5, 6, 7 years and that he wants to retire as a Laker. So I guess that narrows it down a little bit more. But the premise of that quote was that he still really doesn't know when he's going to retire. But to me, LeBron James is such a gifted athlete that I think his mental game is going to be more of a concern than his physical game. I think in all honesty, if he really wanted to, he can play until his mid-40s, which is a wild thing to say, by the way, but the question is, will he? It's all up for speculation, but I guess for the purposes of this video, let's just go off of my theory. I think LeBron James is going to play until he's 41 years old, enough to play out however remaining seasons he has left as a top 5 caliber player in the league, as well as be in the league for a couple years with LeBron James Jr. possibly entering the draft around 2023-2024. This means by these estimations, he's going to play 5 more seasons and retire at the end of the 2025-2026 NBA season. We're also going to assume in this video that every season moving forward is going to be the regular 82 games we're used to, and that, you know, there aren't any pandemics or lockouts that will reduce the totals. But who knows at this point? Who knows? Who knows? So let's go season by season, and then at the end we'll add up his totals to reach a conclusion for this video. 2022. With LeBron teaming up with AD the last 2 seasons, he has taken a step back a little bit when it comes to being a scorer and has dipped to a 25 point per game score compared to the around 27 per game that we were getting in 2018 and 2019. However, with the arrival of Russell Westbrook, I do expect LeBron to take another step back in the scoring department for this upcoming season. But I honestly don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I think he can still average around 23.5 to 24 points a game. I do think health-wise though, because of the last couple of seasons, he's going to be load managed more, so I do see him playing around 70 games this season. So with those estimations for this upcoming season, we estimate LeBron James scoring around 1,645 points, putting his total at 37,012 points, which is enough to actually put him past Karl Malone on the all-time list. As far as field goals made, this type of a season probably nets LeBron around 600 more field goals, putting him at 13,503 field goals all time. The 2023 season marks the last year of LeBron James' contract, as well as the possible departure of Russell Westbrook if he doesn't pick up his player option. So for the sake of this video, let's just say LeBron James signs a long-term deal with the Lakers again, and they try to bring back Russell Westbrook as well to run it back. However, this upcoming season, LeBron James tries to defer to Russell Westbrook even more as a way to possibly utilize Russell Westbrook in a more optimized way, as well as give Anthony Davis a little bit more touches, as at this point it should be obvious that Anthony Davis is the future of this franchise. So let's say that LeBron averages around 23 points a game this season, and once again plays around 70 games, which puts him at 1,610 points for the season, and will put him at 38,622 career points, which is actually enough to make him #1 all time. In terms of field goals made, let's say this season nets him around 560, putting him at 14,663 for his career, enough to pass Karl Malone. As insane as LeBron's career has been in terms of the lack of injuries throughout his career, I find it hard to believe that he won't have another injury-riddled season in his career, given his track record the last couple of years specifically, and also the fact that he's going to be 39 by the end of the 2024 season. Let's also say that this marks the season where we see a noticeable dip in LeBron James's capabilities as a finisher, and with those assumptions in play, let's say he plays around 60 games and averages around 21 points a game. This would add 1,260 points to his total, putting his career totals to 39,882 points, and he probably nets around 460 more field goals, putting his career totals for field goals made at 15,113. Although I'm not gonna lie, with LeBron James being like 120 points away from breaking that 40K mark, he might just go crazy at the end of the season to reach it, but let's just assume for now that he just doesn't, and he ends the season with that total, because we've already assumed enough. LeBron this year has one of his more healthy seasons recently, playing 70 games, while also playing the same role as last season, however with less minutes a game. But despite all of that and him being 40 years old by the end of the season, I honestly think he can still average 21 points a game. So with those estimations, that adds another 1,470 to his totals, now making it 41,352 and around 500 more field goals, putting his career totals at 15,613 for his career. So as we get to this point in the video, as you can see, he does pass that elusive 40,000 mark this season. And now we arrive to the last season of LeBron James's hypothetical career, and honestly, I just see LeBron chilling this season. I think he still has the capabilities of averaging 21, 22 points a game. Given the right role, let's say he was on a bad team as a first option, he could probably average more. But if he makes an announcement going into this year that this is going to be his final year, I think he's just going to go on some retirement tour and give the Lakers like 16 to 17 points a game and just call it a day. I think this year is going to be like Kobe Bryant's last year, first of all, rest in peace, where it's really just all about Kobe's retirement, and I honestly don't have a problem with that. LeBron up to this point has given more than half of his life to the NBA, let alone the game of basketball, man. Like, at this point, he's earned it. But with that being said, with LeBron James averaging around 17 points a game playing 65 games, LeBron James ends his career in this hypothetical with a whopping 42,457 points and right around 15,900 field goals. Not enough to reach that 16,000 mark, but enough to be the all-time leader in field goals made, at least with the estimations we came up with in this video. Now, depending on who you talk to, the estimations in this video could be a massive overestimation of LeBron James's abilities in his later years, or a massive underestimation of his ability to continue being a 25 point per game scorer that we've known him as his whole career. And I honestly see both sides. However, what I am pretty confident on is, barring any career-altering injury or shortened seasons, LeBron James 2 years later from the initial video I made still does have the ability to reach 40,000 points at some point in his career, and at the very least become the all-time leader in career points. Now, what does this mean for his legacy? That's a question that's just not for this video. Y'all can debate that in the comment section down below, but I'ma just enjoy his time in the league, man. I'ma just enjoy his time in the league. With that being said, watch this video right here where I talked about why the Lakers are a super team. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace.